What is up, everybody? What is going on? Chana D, your Techno Dad here, once again with my man, Richard Schram from Parasound. How are we doing today, bud?
Hey, we're doing really well. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. This is like our anniversary.
It's our annual thing.
Right. Last year was pretty awesome. Completely unexpected. Got to thank my man, Corey, for setting this up. Thanks, boss. And I hear Parasound's got some new stuff. What are we talking about here?
We're talking about excitement. Big time excitement. Yeah, we've got a lot of new stuff here, but the real star of the show is a new integrated amplifier, and nobody saw this coming. Last week at the Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, just down the road a bit, we had a room that was the most crowded of all the rooms at the show, and we had 7-foot speakers that were just incredible, running off of this integrated amp, which is about that big. You'll see it in a second. And nobody could believe that this was doing what it was doing. It's kind of a first for us in terms of how much we could package into a very compact chassis and do everything that you could possibly want it to do.
I see it. It's really, really small. And what are we talking about power-wise in that little chassis?
We're talking about 110 watts RMS into 8 ohms or 4 ohms of really clean power, kick-ass power. Danish Pascal Class D module for the amplifier is a real premium part, and the rest of it is just utterly pristine.
Very cool. So, I mean, I know with the Parasound lineage, heritage, whatever you like to call it, my Parasound integrated was expensive, and it kicks butt. What are we talking about price-wise here?
Let me tell you what's in it first, and then,
and then
I'll tell you
all right. I'm jumping the gun.
No, that's okay. You're going to tell me what you think the price is after I tell you what it does. Okay. So this is an integrated amplifier, and I say full featured, which means it's got a pure analog audio path for the analog inputs. It's got a DAC that is superb, Burr Brown DAC, that we took right out of our Halo P5.
Right.
And it's the same board. It's not similar. It's identical. We took the phono stage out of the new P6, HIN 6 product, which is just clean as a whistle and very, very sweet. It's got home theater bypass for left, right, and sub channels.
Love that feature.
It's got the high pass filter crossover, for between 20 and 140 hertz. So if you're integrating this into a surround system, you still have the opportunity to do in analog what the AV receiver or processor would be doing in DSP. So when you switch from the surround to the stereo, it is seamless. So in addition to that, we've got mono outputs for sub, either 80 hertz low pass, if it's a passive sub, or full range. And then that full range output is a mono output that could be used in an integration for a hallway or a bathroom or something where you only want one loudspeaker involved. So it just makes that a whole lot easier. And then in addition to that, there's a name library in there with about 30 different names. So if you wanted to take a player and you could choose CD, Blu-ray, whatever, it might be server, all these different words. They don't have to be entered character by character. You just go into the
and
library
and
choose one of them and
cool.
And assign that to whatever input you want to do. It's also got two-way RS-232 communication, which is going to be big for installers. And it's already got Control 4 drivers that are up on our website. And that's the big integration company. Mm-hmm. So this will handle anything.
Very cool. All right. So all that, I'm going to guess like 2,500.
I'll take it.
I totally overshot it, didn't I?
Well, you tell me how much overshot if I tell you that it's $1,195.
Oh, $1,200.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
As I said, nobody saw that coming. We didn't even know if it was possible to do this.
So why did you kind of break away from, having something above $2,000 like the HIN 6 and why did you want to bring it down, like price-wise? Did that just kind of happen? Was that the plan all along, or?
Oh, the value proposition is the whole deal about Parasound. So the HIN 6, at $29.95 will take on anything, and that is a huge value. But the only reason somebody might not buy one is maybe they don't have that much money.
Sure.
So why should they be deprived of Parasound quality? So that's the point of this.
That's cool. I'm jazzed to check it out and blast some music after this interview.
Yeah, we got one all hooked up with some pretty cool speakers. As I said, these speakers that were 7 feet tall that we used in the show, we were the hardest room to get into because we were always packed. And half the time we were using great big JC5 and JC2 BP, really heavy duty hardware. And half the time we were using this. And the reviewer from Stereophile that listened to this said, you know what? Well, it's not quite the same as those big boys, but it has the same family similarity of sound. And that's the best compliment it could have paid us.
That's great. It's great. So $1,200,
Yeah.
and you said 110 watts
Yes, sir.
RMS for both 4 ohm and 8 ohm.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. With all the other features too. Does it come with a remote control?
Yeah.
Yeah, remote
And it's
control.
got that remote control comes in real handy because it's got a couple of special features. One of them is you can set it for whatever volume you want it to turn on, and every time you turn it on, it'll come on at the same volume. There's also a second one for your favorite volume level, and you can select that from the remote control, and that's really convenient. The remote control does a few other things. Unlike a lot of other products, this can control the subwoofer and even turn the subwoofer on and off from the remote control. And since a subwoofer has a different role, whether you're doing it for cinema or for stereo, typically it's really nice to be able to adjust it right from the remote control.
Right.
You know, where you're
sitting at. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So the remote's really is really useful. Oh, and I overlooked mentioning that it's also got the remote control will allow you to set it up so that if you've got different voltage outputs, let's say the phono and the CD player come on at very different levels, you can actually adjust it so that they're at the same levels whenever you choose them, and you don't have to go tweaking around
Messing around with the volume levels again.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a
very
backlit
cool.
remote control. Same. It's in fact it's the same
All
remote.
this for $1,200. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. I'm jazzed to check one out.
This was hard work, but it's really gratifying. This is a lot of fun, and just opening up a whole new segment of people that are on a budget. Maybe they've just gotten out of school, whatever it would be, and they get Parasound quality and all absolute future proof with this feature set on it.
Right. I see. Like you've got a USB input, optical, coax,
Yep.
along with regular analog, and you said a Burr Brown DAC.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. And what I forget, what's the model of this called?
This is a new classic 200 integrated.
That's great. All right. So we've talked enough about that. What else do we have? I'm looking at this thing over here to the right.
This is an update of the JC2 BP,
Okay.
which is considered by most people to be the best fully analog preamp you could buy. It's certainly the quietest 116 dB signal noise ratio. And all we've done with this is to basically bring it into the new Halo styling. Whereas the original Halo products had molded end caps, this now has solid milled aluminum end caps, a little slimmer, a little highlight between them, new knobs. We no longer have the illuminated P. We now have an engraved Parasound on the front panel, and it bears John Curl's signature on it.
Right.
But we didn't do anything to change the performance. There was nothing to improve.
Nothing to improve. So it's more like a facelift kind of thing.
Precisely. And the other one that's sitting here is a Zphono XRM, which is something that we've had a tremendous amount of fun developing. Our phono stage line started out at $200 for a Zphono, and then it went to $1,500 for a JC3 Junior to $3,000 for a JC3 Plus. All very, very successful, but there was obviously a hole in there.
Sure.
And there's a lot of real vinyl enthusiasts who aren't in a position to spend $1,500 for a phono stage. So, so the XRM was to fill that, but we loaded this with features. It's a moving magnet, moving coil phono stage. Unlike others, it actually has, instead of just switching between moving magnet, moving coil, it's actually got a separate preamp section for each of them. So if you had two turntables or a really sexy turntable with two tone arms on it, you could connect both of them into the Zphono XRM, one with a moving magnet cartridge, one with the moving coil. Yeah. So that's one of the unique features. Another one is on-the-fly adjustment of load impedance for the moving coil. So a lot of units that have that feature use little dip switches, and sometimes they're on the bottom, sometimes they're on the inside. And this just has a nice rotary knob and a real precision control in there. So you can control that from 50 to 1050 ohms very simply without having to fidget with it.
Sure.
Now,
That's
in
cool.
addition to that, it's got XLR balanced outputs on it.
Oh,
Pretty unusual at its price point, which we'll get to in a minute. And the 3 toggles on the right side of it, one of those, we called it an XRM. The X because it's got XLR outputs. The R because it's got a rumble filter in it. And it's the first product we've built with a rumble filter in it. And that's really useful if you've got a turntable that's not that well isolated or a kind of a spongy floor and everything. It just cleans everything up. It's got a stereo mono switch, which also is really helpful in older LPs. Sometimes they just sound better if it's switched to mono and some of that noise that's in there gets canceled out. And then it's got the input selector for whether it's selecting MM or MC cartridge. So this is really full house. It's got a linear built-in large power supply, linear power supply, none of the switch mode stuff in that. Shielding inside is just clean as a whistle. And every time we've asked people, well, what do you think a preamp like that would cost with this kind of quality in it? And they say it's probably $800-900. And then they're real happy when we tell them it's $600.
Oh.
That's a Zphono XRM.
Wow.
So that's been fun. We like that a lot.
So that's really great. You guys are really kind of taking everything you know about phono stages and integrated amplifiers and kind of repackaging them into something more affordable for
Precisely.
a lot of people.
Yep. Absolutely. And we're just delighted with the response to these new products.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I still don't think I'm going to spend $600 on a phono stage, but I know there's a lot of people out there that want to get into it and they don't want to spend the $80, $90 on whatever they can find on Amazon. They want to spend on something like a Parasound, but they just can't. So this is like the perfect like in between.
That's right.
I think you guys nailed it with that.
Yeah, it feels like we did, and it's the more affordable we can make something, the more fun it is for us. But that affordability really is a moving target depending on what your circumstances are. So when we bring out a Hint 6 at $29.95, that's a huge bargain. And for somebody who can afford it, they're not going to get better than that. And you can spend thousands more and not do as well. So we try to do this at a number of price points, and that's what makes this fun.
Gotcha. All right. Now I got a random question for you.
Yes, sir.
So now with the home theater getting into 13 channels, if I need to power 13 channels, what would you recommend for me? I want to do 7.6.6, but let's not talk about subwoofers right now. So what Parasound items would you recommend for me? I'll probably be running some sort of processor.
Well, I think provided you get a good processor, I think a combination of our 5-channel amps or 5-channel and 3-channel amps, depending on how many channels you're going to end up with, by having separate amps, you can actually have the power output where you need it the most. So you could get, for example, an A31, which is a 3-channel amp, 250 watts per channel at 8 ohms, 400 watts at 4 ohms. And that's going to power your left, center, and right. And that'll run any speakers you possibly could. Now, your height speakers or all the other channels don't need that much power because they're never going to play at that level. So you could get lower powered units like an A52 Plus, which is 180 watts a channel into 8 ohms, or some combination of 2-channel amps, which is what a lot of people do, is you put your money into the front channels because those are also what you're going to be listening to your music on when you're not watching cinema.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just a combination, and all the amps, since the voicing of the amps is all the same, you can just mix and match for however many channels, and you're not spending for channels you don't need. You're not buying power that you don't need, and it's just a very practical approach.
Good. I like it. Phil, you're taking notes, man. That's on my wish list.
How many of those channels are you going to get?
I don't know. Let's find out. All right. So if you had to choose 2-channel or some sort of 5.1 or whatever home theater, you can only choose one, what would you do?
If I was on a budget, which I always am, maybe you are too, I'd put my money into a 2-channel system that's going to have the best possible speakers and amplification you can get. Because in my opinion, not everybody would share this, if you're taking a budget and you're breaking it up into let's say 7 pieces, the quality can't be as good as if you're just going to be having 2 speakers. It just stands to reason. And I think that you'll get more accuracy and more involvement and engagement with music, and in many cases with cinema, with just high quality left and right speakers instead of having speakers all over the room.
Cool. So
that's my opinion.
That's your opinion. Yeah. So if we were to have a budget of like $2,000, got your new integrated for $1,200, put $800 in a good pair of speakers.
Yes, because that $800 isn't going to get you very far in a 7.1 system. You wouldn't have to buy an amplifier that's that good if that's all you can handle for the speakers.
Cool. Let's say we were in Vegas and you were at the roulette table. Would you bet red or black?
Oh, red. But I'm not sure why.
I like this guy.
Just red. No question. Why not?
Right. Yeah.
It's much more interesting.
Well,
what's your money on?
It's on red.
Okay, then.
It's on red. It's on red.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's. I was going to come up with a bunch of other questions for the lightning round, but I didn't have any time. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you guys have a full schedule. Wonderful again to talk with you, Richard.
It's great to see you again too. We should do this more than once a year.
Yeah. Hopefully next year I'll be coming to RMAF. It was a little much to be away from home for like 12 days. So,
my wife was delighted to get me away from home for 12 days.
Oh man, dude, you're hilarious. This is great. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank Richard and everyone from Parasound that's behind the camera that you guys can't see. My boys from Paducah Home Theater. Did I say that right? All right, cool.
He had to practice that for a while.
I did. And the funny part was last year I had no idea how to pronounce it until you were talking to him and you're like, hey, so how's Paducah doing? I was like, oh, that's how it's pronounced.
Thank God somebody said the word.
That's how it's pronounced. Fantastic. Well, I want to thank everybody in the room. Thank you guys so much. And thank you at home for watching. Got some more CEDIA 2019 coverage coming at you. We'll see you next time. Peace. All right.
What a master of ceremony.